We're gonna go dig crystals. Maddie's tire is making a weird noise.
It just like came out of nowhere.
I'm so excited! Remember pulling this out of the wall.
You were looking for a way out. I made you take the long route. No, I just don't know how you ever found a way out. You said your love was all spent.
I'm so tired. It's 7 a.m.
You read the text that I sent. Thought your love was all spent. And I don't know why you let me fall.
Totally hit that tree drum. Hopefully it's fine. So did you have like a concrete dream you can remember about the crystals, or?
Yeah, I mean, they were purple. And I know it's because we just talked about it so much, but like they were all like dark purple, like you were describing Holly's.
And then we're gonna go dig crystals. So did you wake up at exactly 7?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I stayed in bed for a bit. Like yesterday we had such a good day, and I feel like inevitably, without even noticing it, we both came in with this expectation of just killing it today.
It's gonna be even better today.
Yeah.
And we both had dreams about crystals, and
Yeah.
we're like seeing us take them out of the soil.
And then today's been like, honestly, it's still been really
It's
good.
still been really great.
But because it was so good yesterday, I feel like I'm thinking that we aren't doing good today, even though
Yeah.
we both have really
big
good
stashes
ones.
of beautiful crystals.
Yeah.
If you're only digging to find crystals and you're not taking in all of the other lessons that we're learning, I mean, it's even more rewarding to be talking about these things and than just having another object as beautiful and as special as they all are, you know.
Wrapping up the digging season was honestly so sentimental for me. I got pushed out of that space by a snowstorm that's coming, and I'm currently traveling with my friend Maddie right now, and she doesn't have a heater in her van, so she couldn't prevent her pipes from freezing if there were to be a snowstorm, and neither of us have tires that are appropriate for driving in the snow. So basically, if it snows a lot, we would just be stuck there, and then it might damage Maddie's van. So we ended up leaving a little sooner than I thought. I really wanted to find a purple crystal, and I hadn't done that. But at the same time, now that I have left that space, it does feel right, and it feels like the right travel decision. Like everything's just flowing the way it's supposed to. My time in the forest was so magical, between connecting with old friends, having a lot of solo time, and meeting new friends. Like it was a really great trip and experience in that forest. Maddie's tire is making a weird noise, so we're gonna take this tire pressure gauge and see what's going on. She's underneath her van right now trying to look at it. And I saw like air was coming out.
Oh, really?
Not air. I didn't see it coming out of the tire, but there was like gas.
It just like came out of nowhere. Just gone? It's not happening, right?
I'm so glad that that noise stopped happening.
It had to be like something got lodged in it and was just making a weird noise. Especially just after having lost my van for over a week.
Yeah.
Like, come on, didn't we finish it? Like,
Wow.
more?
We have all of our crystals, and we're gonna clean them because they still have some mud on it and stuff.
I'm
excited.
Because now I'll actually see what they look like.
Yeah. Paper towels, I'll put them in.
A boy and a man in a backyard, working on a fastball, throwing hard, aiming high and a little bit outside.
Okay, I just finished cleaning all of my crystals. I want to show you guys my favorites. I'm so excited. This is one that I remember pulling this out of the wall. I like saw this sliver of it, wiped it off, and it was like this in the wall. I got a stick and scraped away and then pulled it out, and it was such a magical moment. Let's see, I have this one. It's another super gemmy one, really pretty. Here's another chunker. It's a good chunk. I got a lot of pretty pyramids. I really love the pyramid ones, and a lot of them have rainbows in them, which is cool to look at. Honestly, they're just so fun to look at. I don't even know which one is like totally my favorite because I love all of them so much. And I'm really excited to get a case for them to just have them all out and nice. It was a very successful digging season, so I'm really happy. It's been a while since I responded to a lot of the questions that I have gotten recently, so I thought I would just dive in and respond to some of them. This one says, what is the hardest thing about van life? And I think that it is the lack of stability. And most of the time I do like this, but whenever I'm not in a stable place, I think that really throws me off. It's interesting because the hardest part of van life is also one of the most beautiful parts of van life because I think it's beautiful to not have a routine. It's only when I'm like not doing well and I'm struggling when I really like strive to kind of have a more stable life for my own mental health, and that's when I think the lack of routine gets hard. This comment says, do you think it takes a certain kind of privilege to be able to live the way you do? And obviously I think that, of course, and Maddie and I actually have talked about this a lot recently, like how much privilege we have. It really is a dream life in so many ways, and there's so much to be grateful for. At the same time, there's this like balance because it does take a lot of privilege, and I think I have a lot of privilege in my life to be here, and a lot of factors that I had no control of that I was just privileged in. But at the same time, it did also take a lot of hard work to get here. So there's this fine balance where I feel grateful because I know a lot of it's out of my control, and I feel proud because I know that I did work hard to get here in some ways too. What was the trigger that made you move into the van? And actually I was really depressed in college. Like I was in a really low spot. You learn more from when you're in a low spot in life than when you're in a high spot. I don't know if anybody relates to this, but I feel like when I was so low, I finally got the courage and confidence to be like, okay, this is very clearly bad and I'm very clearly not enjoying this. So I need to make changes in my life if I want to make myself feel better. And it was kind of this like breaking point and this tipping point. And I don't really know if I would be here if I didn't have such a bad time for a long period of my life before I finally made the leap. This question says, are you religious? And I do view myself as spiritual and religious in some senses. Maybe some people wouldn't classify me as religious, but I identify with being spiritual and religious in the sense that I do believe there's a higher power and that everything happens for a reason and that there is something beyond this tangible world. I believe that very firmly and I feel so strongly about that. At the same time, I'm really open to what that looks like exactly. I make an effort to to connect with God every single day in my life. But I think in different moments, it looks like different things. Maybe that looks like a tangible prayer in my head, like I'm talking to someone, or maybe that just looks like connecting to nature in a broader sense, or writing affirmations, or reconnecting with myself and like the God in me. It's like very broad for me, and I'm really open to the idea of not knowing. Like there's a lot that I don't know. Somebody asked what the best advice is for someone wanting to buy a van in the near future. And I would say take your car and go out right now and go camping with a tent or sleep in your car. Like I traveled part-time in my Suburban when I was younger, and I went on trips to New Mexico, to Arizona, I went to California, and it really gave me an idea of what I was going to need. Like I knew I was going to want to stand up. I knew I wanted a fridge. I knew I wanted something to cook on, like an induction cooktop or something with propane. So it just gave me this idea of what it looks like, and you don't have to have a really nice expensive van to go out and adventure. I meet people all the time that are living in their cars full time, or traveling in a truck, or just traveling and pitching a tent and camping like that. This comment says, are you friends with and do you get along with meat eaters? Of course, I get along with people who eat animal products. I have tons of friends who eat animal products. I will say that I do generally feel more connected, I would say, to people who don't eat animal products, because we just share another layer of understanding. Somebody asked, what is the best response someone had when you came out as queer, and what is the worst? The best is that I called my friends and they all screamed over the phone in excitement, and it was so exciting and so cute. Like they were genuinely really happy for me, and that made me really happy and feel really loved. And then I want to say that the worst response was probably from my parents. When I called them, my mom was just silent. And I also know that my dad does think being gay is a sin, but at the same time, they are really nice to me and Tori, so I feel very grateful for that, and it hasn't really interfered with our relationship. This question says, do you always feel so deeply connected to your friends and girlfriend? And no, definitely not. I mean, like anybody else, we get in fights. There are moments where we're not as connected and moments where we are connected. And over the past couple years, I've even had falling outs with people that I've grown distant from that used to be big parts of my life. It's kind of hard because I want to be really honest and authentic and show my experience truthfully with you guys. But there's this kind of ethical boundary in my life where I don't necessarily want to talk about a situation that involves someone else and may negatively impact them. I don't want to only show the positives, but when it comes to relationships, it's hard for me to always authentically share the negatives, especially if the other person involved isn't comfortable. Recently in one of my videos, I shared about a message that I received from my ex, and it was just kind of rude, and I kind of like went into the details of that and the learning lessons I experienced, and a lot of people were commenting like on my side, which of course I really appreciate and it feels good, but at the same time part of me got a little anxious because I was like, I really hope that she doesn't come across this video and doesn't feel badly about herself. And then I think another element of it is when I'm not feeling connected with someone, it doesn't always feel right to like pick up a camera. So I think that all kind of adds to this perception of my friendships and my relationships, but they're not perfect. I get in fights with them. I don't always feel connected. Like any relationship, there are problems that we have had to work through and we've had to communicate about and kind of compromise with. Somebody asked if I can talk about spirituality and healing, and I think a big part of my healing journey was releasing a lot of the pent-up resentments I had towards my parents. Like a lot of families and a lot of people, I didn't always have the best relationship with my parents, and I feel like because of that I carried a lot of childhood trauma, and I feel like we all heal at our own paces, but forgiving them and genuinely like turning a new leaf and also seeing my responsibility in it and trying to grow for myself and trying to be better really helped. And I feel like it just kind of transferred to every other part of my life. And I think another part of that is as I started to grow and as I started to be better, I started to not totally resonate with some of my old friendships. And as a result, I really did distance myself. I just started getting to a point where I wasn't relating to them, and the things we liked to do was so different. Like, they liked to club and party all the time, and I was starting to want to read and like not drink and rock climb and go into nature, and it was just very different things. And I think at the time it kind of threw me off because I wanted to have stable relationships and connections, but in retrospect, I realized that that was almost an indication of my spiritual growth. I think as we grow, we outgrow people. That can be really sad, and it can feel really nostalgic. And for me, I feel very sentimental, where I can like still think of those people and feel really sad and feel so much love for them, but also know that they're not really good for me at this stage in my life. And at the same time, like mending my relationship with my parents and my family, that also feels like my own spiritual growth. So it's just this kind of like weird paradox, and I think it looks different for everyone. Like, for you, that might mean distancing yourself from your family, even though for me, spiritual growth looked like connecting with my family and forgiving them and having them in my life. And so there's no right answer, and I feel like it's different for everyone, but it's one of those things where it's easier to connect the dots looking backwards than forwards. Like, when I look backwards, I know, oh, this was a sign of this and this is a sign of that, but at the time, I just felt kind of confused. Somebody asked, do you ever get lonely in the van? How do you overcome this? Initially, when I kind of come into this space of being alone, I do feel like there's a part of me that has this sudden awareness of me being alone, especially in this new foreign place. And I feel like that kind of scares me initially, but I feel like that is all really important for me to work through. It feels hard in some ways, but once I push past the moments that feel difficult, I think I always grow so much from the moments where I spend extended periods of time alone. I get to connect deeper with myself. I have a deeper awareness of what I'm thinking and what my thought patterns are at the time. I regain my energy so that I can be better when I'm hanging out with people, and so that I can be more vulnerable and more open and more stable and more loving. And yeah, I'm a big fan of alone time. I wouldn't expect to just get to know Maddie without talking to her and spending quality time with her and not being on my phone but genuinely listening. So how can I expect to genuinely love myself and have a relationship with myself and connect with myself if I'm not spending time with myself and if I'm not listening to myself and talking to myself? Alone time is so important. And yes, it can be overdone. And I think social time is also very important. Prioritizing alone time has been one of the most rewarding things I have done in the last few years. Those are all the questions I got. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I periodically on my Instagram story post like a section where you can ask these questions, and that's where I pull them from. So if you are interested in asking those questions, definitely follow me on Instagram. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe, because it really supports my channel, and I post videos every 3 days on Wednesdays and Sundays. Whew, that's a mouthful. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!